regrette rien.
The Dark Knight made Christopher Nolan a household name, but Inception solidified his reputation as a blockbuster auteur who could turn any crazy original idea in his head into a hit movie. Nolan's tale of a criminal crew infiltrating the dreamscape paved the way for his black hole bookshelf and his time-traveling spies and his atomic bomb. I remember watching Inception at the cinema with my dad and my sister on the last day of school in summer 2010. I was 12, so I didn't understand almost any of it. Even the notion that time moves slower in the dream world blew my mind. But I absolutely loved it. I could barely follow the plot, but even just the filmmaking, the action, the score, the performances, the trippy sci-fi visuals tickled my imagination. I've since gotten a much tighter grasp on the plot and the themes and the deeper meanings, so let's dig into this bad boy. Inception combined everything that made Nolan's previous films great. It's a twisty psychological thriller like Memento, a moody neo-noir like Following and Insomnia, an action-packed blockbuster spectacle like the Batman movies, and a confounding puzzle to solve like The Prestige. It has all the familiar hallmarks of Nolan's filmmaking: non-linear storytelling, elaborate practical effects, an ambiguous ending. Nolan fucks around with time and the hero has a dead wife. Inception spreads its characters across multiple dream levels, but they're all pulled together by Nolan's signature cross-cutting. Thanks to Lee Smith's meticulous editing, we're never lost, even as we keep switching between different dream levels and different speeds of the passage of time. The film has mesmerizing music by Hans Zimmer in his deeply cinematic Bwong Wall of Sound style, but it also makes great use of Edith Piaf's Non Je ne regrette rien as a recurring diegetic motif. Sorry for my butchered French. Although it's dressed up as a sci-fi epic, the genre framework of Inception is a classic heist film. A master thief is offered one last job. It'll be his most dangerous job yet, but it's an offer he can't refuse. His criminal record will be wiped clean and he can finally return home to his kids. It's a universally relatable motivation. He just wants to reunite with his family, but he needs to take this one last infiltration job to secure his clean slate. Of course, he's no ordinary thief. He's no Danny Ocean or Thomas Crown. Don Cobb and his crew don't steal money from bank vaults or diamonds from jewelry shops. They steal information from people's minds. But that's not what this job requires. This is an Inception job, and it's much riskier. Instead of extracting an existing idea, they have to plant a new one. Wealthy businessman Sato wants them to go into the mind of his closest rival, Robert Fisher, and convince him to dissolve his dad's company. And in giving this tycoon a leg up in his corporate pissing contest, they could get themselves stranded in limbo until their brains turn to scrambled egg. The stakes are high, the goals are clear, and the world has been established.
Now in a dream, our mind continuously does this. We create and perceive our world simultaneously, and our mind does this so well that we don't even know what's happening. That allows us to get right in the middle of that process.
Brilliant! I have absolutely no idea what's going on.
Inception's literal portrayal of the dreamscape has been met with a mixed response. From a creative standpoint, Nolan doesn't let his imagination run as wild as, say, Robert Altman did in Images, or Wes Craven did in Nightmare on Elm Street. There are some mind-bending visuals, like a city folding in on itself and a dilapidated metropolis crumbling into the ocean. But for a limitless subconscious wonderland, the majority of the visuals are relatively tame. Dressing room mirrors on the pavement, a train in the middle of the street, a James Bond action sequence on the side of a mountain.
Immerse yourself in the dreams of Christopher Nolan, which apparently don't include sex, flying, or any other things normal people dream of. A dreamland where you can think of literally any weapon.
Mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling.
But for some reason only dream up small to medium-sized guns. Seriously, they couldn't dream up a tank or something?
From an academic psychological standpoint, dream researchers have criticized Nolan's dream sequences for their inaccuracy to the disjointed nature of real dreams. Not that the rambling non sequiturs of a real dream would necessarily make for an exciting thriller plot, but he did get some aspects right. When Cobb is submerged in a bathtub to wake him up and his dream is suddenly filled with water, that's a pretty realistic representation of the way a stimulus like that will seep into the dreamscape. On a philosophical level, Inception ponders dreams in relation to reality. Our dreams exist entirely in our heads. None of that stuff is really happening. But sometimes a dream is so palpable and powerful that it feels real. Have you ever had one of those dreams that affects you so deeply that you can't stop thinking about it the next day? You experienced it and it had a profound impact on you. Who's to say that wasn't real? What is reality but what we perceive? For all we know, we're just a bunch of batteries lying in vats of red goo. In a sense, all our experiences are real, even the imaginary ones, because we felt them. Nolan literalizes that concept by making a person's unconscious mind a tangible place that his characters can go to with the help of futuristic technology.
Right now they're all trapped in a dream. We need to go in and put them under so they can go into a dream within a dream.
Why?
Because in the dream within a dream, you can protect them from getting to limbo.
What's that?
Empty, scary dream space.
So like a nightmare?
No, like a nightmare within a nightmare.
Why can't you wake up from that?
You can, but someone inside the dream has to kick you awake from the nightmare.
That doesn't sound very difficult.
It is.
Much like a different neo-noir masterpiece we covered, Blade Runner, Inception creates a brand new kind of femme fatale. This is one of the oldest tropes in the film noir canon, but Inception and Blade Runner both put a tragic sci-fi twist on it. Cobb's late wife Mal is technically the villain of the film, but it's not Mal herself that's the villain. The character of Mal that appears in the film is a projection of Cobb's guilt over the real Mal's suicide. Although Cobb is a master dream extractor who can control pretty much anything in the dream world, he's powerless to control his projection of Mal. Mal wasn't an evil person in life, but her posthumous manifestation in the dreamscape acts as the movie's villain. She messes with Cobb's mind every chance she gets, and never lets him forget the worst mistake of his life.
Sweetheart! Look at me! Oh no! Jesus Christ!
You're always just one room away, huh?
Yeah, remember? You thought if you could see or touch me, it might give you a level of comfort.
Right, can't have that. Come on, Summer.
Who's Summer? Should I be jealous? I hope Summer knows what happens to the people you love.
Nolan put a lot of thought into what the characters represent. Each character corresponds to a job on a film crew, feeding into a prominent theory that Nolan uses dream manipulation as a grand cinematic metaphor for filmmaking itself. Cobb is the director with lofty ambitions, Arthur is the producer making sure the director's vision is actually viable, Ariadne is the production designer creating the sandbox for them to play in, Ames is the actor impersonating other people and creating an illusion, and Sato is the studio funding the whole thing. Fisher is the audience, and in a sense, Mal is the critic. There's a secret meaning behind all their names too. Yusuf, for example, is the Arabic form of Joseph. In the Bible, Joseph famously interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams. Yusuf doesn't necessarily interpret people's dreams in Inception, he controls and monitors them, but he does put them in such a state of deep sleep that it leaves their dreams open to interpretation. The name Ames is taken from the surname of Charles Ames and his wife, Ray Bernice Kaiser Ames. Known collectively as the Ames Office, they're two of the most renowned designers who ever lived. They were pioneers of mid-20th century modern architecture, and Inception goes deep on the architecture of dreams. Sato is a common Japanese surname, especially in the northeastern region of Japan, but it has a deeper meaning in the film. It means purification. Sato gets Cobb to agree to a dangerous job by promising to wipe his criminal record clean, in other words, purifying him in the eyes of the law. Fisher could have been named after the myth of the Fisher King. The Fisher King was the last line of defense protecting the Holy Grail, and Robert Fisher is the last line of defense protecting his late father's company. The Fisher King's wounds affected his surroundings. His injuries were reflected on his kingdom. In Inception, Fisher's thoughts and emotions impact his subconscious mind, which impacts the character's surroundings as they traverse his dreams. Mal, or at least Cobb's subconscious projection of Mal, is the antagonist of the film, and her name reflects that. Mal is the Latin root word for all things bad, like malice, malevolence, malpractice, malintent. In French, Spanish, Portuguese, and various other languages, mal means evil or wrong. Suffice to say, it's an appropriate name for a villain. Arthur is often linked to King Arthur, with the rest of the crew being compared to the Knights of the Round Table, but that doesn't make much sense because Arthur isn't the leader, Cobb is. Instead, I think Arthur might be named after legendary sci-fi author Arthur C. Clarke. 2001: A Space Odyssey has been a huge influence on Nolan's work, and Clarke is every bit the mastermind that Inception's Arthur is. In Greek mythology, Ariadne was the name of a Cretan princess, nicknamed the Mistress of the Labyrinth. She's best known for helping Theseus escape from the Minotaur by giving him a sword and a ball of string to guide him through the maze. In Inception, Ariadne doesn't just help people navigate a maze, she creates the maze. She earns a spot on Cobb's team by creating a maze you can't solve. And last but not least, we've got Cobb's name. Cobb was also the name of the gentleman thief in Nolan's no-budget debut feature Following. It could just be that Nolan likes the name Cobb, the name's so nice he used it twice, but the name has a much more specific meaning here than in Following. Cobb's name is the easiest one to interpret. It's similar to Quab, which translates to dream in Sanskrit, Urdu, Hindi, and Punjabi. And his first name, Dom, means home in Polish, derived from the Latin word domus. The character's entire goal in the movie is to pull off one last dream extraction so he can get home to his kids. His name means home dream, and he enters a dream so he can go home. Dom Cobb infiltrates Quabs or dreams so he can get back to his home, or domus.
Alright, I get it!
When Inception came out, a lot of the discussion revolved around the iconic final shot of the spinning top. The ending is of course deliberately ambiguous. The top starts to fall over before the perfectly timed cut to black, so maybe he's awake, but it was spinning for a really long time, so maybe he's still in a dream. The debate over whether or not Cobb is still in the dream world at the end of the film misses the real point of this final scene. The purpose of the spinning top is so Cobb can determine whether he's awake or not, but in that final moment he walks away from the spinning top to play with his kids before seeing whether it topples or not. After everything he's been through, he doesn't care if he's still in a dream or not. He wants to be with his kids, even if they are just a facsimile of his kids created from his memories. He's done, and so am I. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe and click on the little bell. And also seize the day and call your mom and be kind to yourself.